True. True.
True.
Yeah. Let's go.
True.
What's good? If my voice sounds raspy today, like extra raspy, you just gotta let it slide. You gotta let it slide today, chat. It's been a long weekend. I'm not sponsored, but today we got Dunkin' coffee. We need it. How are y'all doing today? Shout out to Grace today for joining the chat. This stream is nice. Keep doing your thing. I'll bring some friends next time. Add me on Discord. Beckman_2. Yo, W to Grace today. Shout out to Grace today. It's been a long weekend, chat. But I told y'all last week, I said if I start my stream up on Monday and you see me rocking something new, then you know how the weekend went. Chat. First of all, shout out to that. Right? You need a close-up of that. Look at that, chat. That is the gold medal. Shout out to your boy for all the work you've been putting in. Yes, sir. Yes, sirski. And I definitely took home. What the fuck you talking about, chat? It's engraved on the other side, so I'm not going to show you the other side. I don't want to put my government information out there. But chat, shout out to that. This is my cup. My marble trophy. You know what I'm saying? It was a weekend. And if you can see, I don't know if you can see that well, but I had like a little small cut on my eye. Kind of, I was a little sore yesterday. But I'm doing better. I'm good. You know, it was a long weekend. I'll say that. There was a lot of yelling and otherwise. Kicking and punching. You know the vibes, chat. So I'm gonna try to get the video footage. We captured some of the video footage. I'm gonna try to get that uploaded to the computer, and then for my late stream, I'm gonna try to play some of that. But W's in the chat for your boy. You know what I'm saying? That's a huge accomplishment. It's never too late to start something new. And that, my friends, is what I call character development. You feel me? I'm still in my character development stage. So how are y'all doing today? How y'all doing? We're going to get into it. I already started off a little later today, but everything's moving slow. Everything moving slow today, chat. But we're still going to get to it. Last week on Monday, y'all learned more information than you probably even cared to learn. You learn, okay, how is it that we can, how do we know about the economy, right? How do we know what is going on with the economy? How do we know how folks are reporting information? How do we know how to interpret the information? We didn't dive completely deep into interpreting the information, but we did go over how to talk about it. I mean, how to find it, right? How to find that information. So I think that'll be a common theme, right? Because first of all, disclaimer: I am not an financial advisor. I am not a financial. I'm not a tax accountant. I'm not a attorney. I'm no one who's registered, right? This is all for entertainment purposes. So we learned how we could use certain sources, such as the Beige Book, to find out about the economy and the direction the economy is going in, right? And if you've been with us the last several weeks, you know we started from the bottom, right? We started from the bottom, and now we're here. We're here, chat. We started learning about what is a stock. And then today we're going to still continue the conversation because there's so many things that deal with investing. It's hard to really know everything. So what we want to do is just kind of cover some broad topics. And once it's in your head, once you're taking notes and you understand, okay, I need to learn more about this, it'll send you in the right direction. I'm assuming that if you're on Twitch, you also have access to Google. You also have access to other search sources, Yahoo, whatever it is you use, Bing, MSN, I don't know, whatever you use, right? Your best friend, I don't know. So with that being said, as we cover topics, we'll cover in enough detail for what we'll refer to as a beginner level. And if you feel like, oh, I need to know more of this, one, you can ask questions in the chat. Two, you can search the topic. You can just literally Google the topic. And let's do a sound. Search the topic. Okay, we're good. All right, let me pop out my chat. Let me let the chat pop out and we're going to get started. It's Monday. It's Monday. Let's get the vibes rolling. It is Monday, chat. All right, let's get our screen set up the way we want it set up. We're going to transition to the desktop view. Y'all know the vibes. And I ain't gonna lie, your boy is slowly getting better, and I'm gonna need it because they're gonna start taking away some of my resources. I told y'all that last week with the Stream Deck and everything, so I gotta stay in my bag. All right, let's go. Okay, chat. All right, so how are we gonna start off the morning? We're gonna go right into our rainbow chart. You already know the vibes. The stock market opens at 9:30. That is when the bell rings for the New York Stock Exchange. That's Eastern time. So adjust that time to your time zone. I'm on the East Coast, so it's at 9:30. Trump advocates that companies stop reporting earnings on a quarterly basis. That is fucking insane, chat. I'm going to click on that one. I got to click on that one. That is crazy. We're starting the morning off on a fucking tear already. Bro, what? I was at the first headline we get. Yo. So, listen. Chat, let me go back full screen real quick. Y'all already know when you're investing in stocks, equities, bonds, whatever the case is, right? Companies, because they're publicly traded, that's how we're able to purchase stock in them. They do earnings. We talked about earnings. They do it on a quarterly basis. You saw, we didn't talk about an actual earnings report, but we talked about NVIDIA had earnings. That headline is saying Trump is telling folks to not do that on a quarterly basis. All I'm going to say is in this article, chat, this shit better say he's saying they better do it on a monthly basis, because Giving less information to shareholders is not the way to go. You're already waiting quarterly for information. And we know from, let's start on this side. We know from all the times I've said it and all the charts I've shown that stocks do this, right? Stocks do this. They go up, they go down, they go up, they go down, they go up, right? So over a quarterly period, you realize, let's call it January 1 is the beginning of our quarter. From January, you get sales and profit and revenue and expenses all the way through the end of March. And then you have our earnings. Let's call it April 1st. April 1st, your company, let's call it company ABC, says in the last quarter, January through March, we've had this much revenue because of these amount of sales. And these are the areas of our business where we did the best. And here's where our expenses. And this is the bottom line. And this is what we're doing for shareholders, right? Cool. You have information to work off of. For the next quarter, based on me as the CEO or whoever for company ABC, for the next 3 months, that's the information you have. So unless some news comes out that says company ABC released a new product or does this or did this, that's what's going to happen up and down for the next quarter. What's going to be affecting it? Different things. People buying in, people selling out, right? That's what happens. So after the end of the second quarter, right? January, February, March, first quarter, right? April, May, June, second quarter. So July 1, we come in and we say, hey, in the second quarter, we did this. You're waiting each quarter for the earnings report. Earnings, chat. It is what it says it is. It's how much money a company has earned and how much money they have spent, right? That's the simplified version. So going back into that mode, chat. Let's get back into that mode. The first article of the day, starting us off strong, is Trump advocates that companies stop reporting earnings on a quarterly basis. That's crazy. So in this article, what we want to see is something about it being reported on a more frequent basis. Because if it says something about every 6 months or something crazy, that means he's advocating for companies to share less information with the public that's investing in them. And that's insane. So U.S. President Donald Trump speaks to media before boarding Marine One on South Lawn of the White House in Washington, D.C. on September 11th. He said this on September 11th, chat. Whatever it is we're about to read, President Donald Trump floated the idea Monday of companies no longer providing earnings report on a quarterly basis and switching to semi-annual instead. What did I just say? Semi-annual. So, chat, semi-annual is an ambiguous word, right? Because it means different things. Semi-annual could mean occurring twice a year or half yearly, or actually, I could be wrong in this instance. Maybe I'm thinking of biannual, every 2 years, versus semi-annual. So semi-annual, every 6 months. I've heard it referenced in other contexts that semi-annual can mean every other year. So let's just assume I'm wrong, and that means biannual. So semi-annual, occurring twice a year. Let's see what his thoughts were behind that if we get some information. In a Truth Social post, Trump said the idea is subject to SEC approval and would save money and allow managers to focus on properly running their companies. Did you ever hear the statement that China has a 50 to 100 year view on management of a company, whereas we run our companies on a quarterly basis? Not good, Trump said. And listen, I'm going to tell you straight up, chat. Donald Trump, before entering the realm of politics, was one of and I say one of, I can't say he's not now, but he doesn't, to me, in my opinion, he doesn't focus completely on business as of now, but he was a very brilliant business mind. So prior to him going in politics and then people started hating him and stuff like that, he is very good at business. So whatever his thoughts are behind this, I am not the one that says, nah, he's wrong. Because I don't understand business the same way he does. If I did, I'd probably be a billionaire. So current regulations require companies to report on a quarterly basis, though providing forecasts is voluntary, which is, we talked about before, that guidance, right? So after the earnings, after they tell you, here's how much we earned, here's how much we spent, blah, 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 then they say, here's what we foresee for the next quarter. The rules can be changed either from the SEC or could be altered by Congress. Don't get Congress involved. Despite Trump's comments about China, companies there have reporting requirements that are similar to the US, if not more stringent. Chinese companies must file quarterly earnings reports as well as semi-annual and annual reports. So while he's comparing companies to Chinese companies, they're saying, listen, Chinese companies got to do it quarterly, they got to do it semi-annual, and they got to do annual reports. Companies listed on the Hong Kong Exchange, however, only report every 6 months. So Hong Kong Exchange, is the Hong Kong Exchange doing well? That's a question you may want to ask yourself, because if it's successful in allowing its companies to report every 6 months, maybe it's not a bad idea. But how would that affect companies, right? Would that mean that a company could essentially go up for 6 months, and then once they report earnings, you can find out for the last half a year they didn't do shit, and then your shit drops? If you ask me, and I'm a short-term investor in a company, meaning I don't typically keep stuff for more than a year and a day, or if I'm trading in the derivative market, right? I'm absolutely going to dump my shares before the earnings report. That's just me. That's going to be a mitigation strategy, especially if they've been doing well, right? If they've been doing well over the last 6 months, is going up, that earnings report can come out and completely tank or destroy your profits. So I don't know. I'll have to see more, right? Trump's proposal would be more in line with practices in the UK and European Union, where companies are required to file semi-annually but can issue quarterly reports if they choose. So if a company chooses to give you more information, shout out to that company, because you already know the vibes that they on chat. If a company is choosing you to give you more information, you know your vibes there. And let's see here. We got a message in the chat. Where's my chat box? My chat bot. Because why are we getting stuff about cheap viewers? Let's finish this up. The wisdom of quarterly reports has come under question before. In a 2018 op-ed piece for the Wall Street Journal, Berkshire Hathaway's Warren Buffett and J.P. Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon advocated doing away with quarterly guidance, though not earnings reports. Those are two different things, chat. Quarterly guidance and earnings reports are two different things. The earnings report, chat, let's give you the official definition. And then I'll tell you the summary. An earnings report is a financial document usually released quarterly that provides a detailed snapshot of a public company's financial performance over a specific period, including its revenue, expenses, and profits. These reports allow investors to assess a company's profitability and financial health, influencing decisions to buy, sell, or hold its stock. Public companies are required to file these reports with regulatory bodies like the SEC in the US, right? That's the earnings report. And then compare it to quarterly guidance. What is quarterly guidance? We know the definition, but you guys need to see the definition again. Quarterly guidance is a public forecast of a company's expected financial performance, such as revenue and earnings, for the upcoming 3-month period. Issued by publicly traded corporations, this forward-looking statement is based on various factors like sales forecasts, market conditions, and is released simultaneously to all investors to influence market expectations and stock prices. Here's a key word: influence, right? So, what we're talking about here, chat, is quarterly guidance versus earnings report. Earnings reports is actual information. That is, if you go use your debit card and pull your bank statement, that is your earnings report. That's your actual statement. It's going to show your deposits that you made from your job, and it's going to show how much money you spent. It's going to show how much money you have left. It's going to show how much money you transfer to your savings account. That's the equivalent of an earnings report. It's your actual financial documents. That's the actual information. Quarterly guidance could be absolute bullshit. It is what I think, right? Now, some companies, chat, are more accurate when they give guidance, and some companies are more modest when they give guidance. So you can see a company come out and say, listen, we had a crazy last quarter and we killed it. The next quarter, I don't think we're going to do the same thing for different reasons. It could be what they call seasonality, chat, right? That could be one of the reasons. We'll talk about seasonality later, but just to let you know what that means is, think of it this way. Do you think Amazon is going to do better when they do their Prime Day, or they're going to do better on just a regular day? Prime Day, right? Do you think a store is going to do better when they run Black Friday, or do better on just a regular day? Probably Black Friday. Do you think all these stores that sell consumer discretionary items, right? Toys for kids, books, clothes, etc., are going to do better leading up to Christmas, or better after Christmas, right? So that's the type of stuff you see in quarterly guidance, right? So some could be more accurate, but some can be used to influence market expectations. If I have a company and my company is new, I may come out and say, listen, we're going to do some amazing things. And what's that going to do, chat? That's going to have people buy. Because they're going to be like, yo, they're going to do amazing things, and I want to make sure I'm in on that run, right? Apple, oh, another thing. Oh, we got this new thing, right? People get excited over new products, chat, right? Influence. Guidance influences the markets, while earnings reports are just actual data. That's the difference. So when you say Warren Buffett, and they this article is strategic, because when they, not saying it's not true, but they came out and said that Berkshire Hathaway's Warren Buffett, a reputable name, chat, and JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon, a very reputable name, advocated doing away with quarterly guidance, though not earnings reports, right? That's two different things. They're saying we shouldn't be allowing companies to influence the markets by saying whatever they want to say. Because just to give you an idea, chat, a company could have shitty earnings, right? My company, ABC, that sells pens. You remember my pen I created that can remember the last 5 sentences you write down, chat? Well, it could do shitty. For January through March, my company did terrible. But I can come out and say, listen, chat, listen, this next quarter though, this pen's functionality is going to blow people away. I might even tell you what it's going to do, but I can say, listen, if you thought recording 5 sentences was great, wait till you see what we have in store. And that's going to make people be optimistic about the future of the company, which is going to be like up, 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 buy. I don't want to miss out. And then after that next quarter, you're going to realize, oh, they didn't do shit but extend the battery life. Because before, they were having trouble because the pen kept running out of battery on sentence 3. Now it could last through sentence 5. Like, that's not a huge thing. That's what you promised us before. So when people finds out that's what happened in the next quarter, then it down, down, down again, chat. That is the things that quarterly guidance can actually do. And to give you another example before we move on, we don't want to beat a dead horse, right? But there was an electric car company, I'm not going to point out any names, and they said, yo, we're going to kill Tesla. Don't quote me on that. But they said, we're going to be the best EV company. We're going to do all these things. And people got excited, like, yes, a Tesla competitor, they're going to do this. And then when they released their vehicle, the vehicle did not turn on, chat. They literally had to, like, I think, roll the car down a hill or something. It was crazy. But when they gave guidance, not quarterly, but just guidance on what was going to happen with the company, it influenced the market. Why is my thing not changing? It influenced the market, and then people were let down once the actuals came out. Earlier this year, Norway's sovereign wealth fund proposed switching to semi-annual reporting, reasoning that lengthening the time frame would allow companies to focus on longer term. It could go either way, chat, so we'll have to see more. But there you go from that morning's headline. That is the top headline, right? So let's get back to it. Look at our Christmas bar, chat. So right now we're up, 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 down for the U.S. Treasury. Again, we haven't gone into too much detail, but whenever you see green, that's a good sign, right? Stock futures rise after Trump's positive comments on China trade talks gain in Tesla. Listen, Tesla has been going absolutely crazy. So we saw that TikTok deal framework reaches with China, Trump, and Xi will finalize it Friday. Stock futures rise after Trump's positive comments on China. Okay. Tesla shares gain as Elon Musk reveals rare $1 billion stock buy-in, sign of confidence in the EV maker. It's always something when like CEOs do certain things and it affects the company, because that lets you know that if whatever they do drastically affects the company, where you want Tesla to be really influenced by what Tesla is doing versus what the CEO is doing. But also it does give confidence that if he's buying into the company even more, he has confidence in it, unless he's just a dumbass and wants to waste his money, which Elon Musk, regardless of what you think of him, is not a dumbass. And again, I'm not sponsored, but if you go on Netflix and watch Return to Space, listen. Watch Return to Space, chat. If you watch it, I guarantee it's going to change the way you see Elon Musk and the things that they do. The engineering team, trust me. China says NVIDIA violated anti-monopoly law after preliminary probe. Anti-monopoly law, which in some chat means that you won't dominate the industry and not allow other companies to enter the market. They're just so good. I don't know all the details, but read it for yourself. U.S. and Britain to sign flurry of major nuclear power deals during Trump's state visit. Okay. Here are Monday's biggest analyst calls, again, with the NVIDIA, Apple, Tesla, Disney, Palantir, Micron, and more, blah, blah, blah. As pro, blah, blah, blah. We see the same thing as advertisement. Charlie Kirk shooting, Utah Governor Spencer Cox shares new details. I have no comments on this. I don't really get involved in politics. It's never good when anyone loses their life. I'll just say it is absolutely crazy, though, that you can see that video anywhere without any type of censorship. That's crazy. Our children are on the internet, so make sure you guys are putting up those restrictions on your kids' accounts, unless you want them to see something you don't want them to see. Shout out to Bree in the chat. Why is Sam Altman losing sleep? OpenAI CEO addresses controversies in sweeping interview. I mean, this guy's always in a headline article, bro. Trump vows national emergency in Washington, D.C. over ICE dispute. ICE been collecting folks like Pokemon cards, bro. Sorry if that analogy offends anyone, but it's just absolutely crazy. Like, they just popping up and then just like taking people. And it's crazy because, again, we don't want to get overly involved in politics, but to just look at somebody and be like, yeah, they're Latin, we're fucking taking them until they can prove that they belong to be here is nuts. Deutsche Bank raises Micron price target ahead of earnings next week. This also influences markets. When you have a bank that rises or reduces their price target, that is a way to influence markets. How you doing today, Bree? And since Bree's in the chat, and because we've told Bree what it was last week, and we told everybody else what it was last week, let's go full screen real quick, chat. That be a gold medal, Bree. That be a gold medal. For anybody who's in the chat and you're new here, and I tell people what I be doing, just to remind y'all, I told you, if I show up on Monday with that shit on, y'all know how the weekend went. And my voice is kind of raspy because I was yelling. And I'm a little sore because I did get punched and kicked in the face. But in the end, chat, shout out to Solo in the building. In the end, chat, it doesn't even matter. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter in the end, chat, because that be a gold medal and that be a first place trophy. Shout out to your boy. Shout out to your boy. Don't just think you gonna come beat my ass. You feel me, chat? That be the gold medal. If you need a close-up of what that says, it's the Martial Arts Festival World Championship. Shout out to that. Shout out to that, chat. Let's get back to that shit. And hopefully I was sharing my screen the whole time I was showing all that information. I think I was. Hopefully. Yes, sir. We got a winner. And because of that, let's just run it real quick while we transition back. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Real quick sidebar. Real quick sidebar, chat. So after my match, me and one of my fellow classmates, right? So another guy that spars for my particular gym. We were in there because we both won for our division. And we were talking and we were asking each other, like, how you feel? Yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. I was like, bro, that was good. That was a good match. And I went up against somebody, chat, that was for sure more experienced than myself. And how do you tell when somebody's more experienced? By the belt, right? It's martial arts. So he was 3 belt levels higher than me, chat. Shout out to him. He might be pissed, but shout out to him. We were definitely going at it. But we were having a good time. And then all of a sudden my wife was like, yeah, you did so good. Your eyes bleeding, but you did good. I'm like, my eyes bleeding? I was like, God damn. At first I thought he punched me in the face. But after watching the footage and revisiting how it all played out, at one point we were falling, chat. So we were falling and we were like, kind of off balance, trying to catch our balance. And as I'm falling to the ground, I think his arm swung and his elbow hit me in the face. He did catch me. He did catch me one time in the face. But I think in terms of the blood, I think it came from the elbow, not the punch. But, I like talking about what happened to me versus what happened to the other person. Because I did get punches and kicks in, obviously. But, it's if you don't know the feeling, right? I've been getting punched in the face for months, kicked in the face. One time I did a stream and I came and I was so sore and y'all would have never known. But after the stream was over, I got up and limped away from my chair because I was just hurt. You know what I'm saying? And it's interesting because, like, there's a saying, right? Always remain humble. And that's what you have to do. Because you hear people talking about being battle tested and people talking about fighting and people talking about sparring and boxing and street fights or whatever and turning up on people. But at the end of the day, it's like, bro or ma'am, you have not been punched in the face since you were 4 years old or 8 years old in grade school. And you believe in your heart of hearts that you're going to go out into the street and fight someone. And if anyone has seen fight videos, I watch fight videos all the time. I watch street fights. I watch martial arts fights. You're not. And the person you're fighting is not either. You're going to be out of breath after 10 seconds, and you both are going to go on your way. You're going to yell at each other. Maybe you'll push each other. But by the time you're finished pushing, you're going to be gassed out. This is not no type of brag type of stuff. It's just realistic. So just watch your mouth. And that's why people carry around guns. That's why people carry around guns, chat. Because people realize that, listen, in my head, I believe I can fight. Because when I was a kid, I used to fight all the time. And I used to beat people up or I used to win. Trust me. And they also have a saying, too, that most big people, I'm a big dude. The dude I fought was a big dude. And when I say big, I'm 6'4". I've been tall a long time. I used to get in fights when I was a kid. But for the most part, typically, big dudes cannot fight, chat. Big dudes cannot fight. Big dudes cannot fight. Why is that? Because you're big, right? Give me 1 second, sorry. You're big, so people aren't gonna test you. You ever wonder why small dudes be having hands? Because people always want to test a short king. So he always got to defend himself. Dudes who are my height don't have to defend themselves most often because typically people are automatically intimidated. You see a big dude, he might have been going to the gym these days, right? Doesn't matter how old he is, he's swole, he tall, right? And nobody's going to test that dude. But in reality, that dude may have never gotten in a fight in his life. See, Bree beat up a dude that was 6'3", 32 years old, because he probably never got in a fight in his life. He didn't have to. He's 6'3". He's tall, right? He's tall. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy when people, chat. I'm gonna risk it for the biscuit. Let me, sorry, chat. I apologize. Sorry, chat. All right. Risk it for the biscuit. Let's finish up with these articles real quick, though. So, yeah, but shout out to that. I just wanted to show y'all. I did my thing. Shout out to all the competitors. I'll try to get y'all some footage on here. But I was sore as hell. I was sore, chat. Shout out to Hotbox in the building. Y'all already know the vibes. What's good? Let's finish up real quick. Because my phone is ringing, and I definitely need to call that person back. Absolutely. Okay, cool. All right. Let's transition back. All right. So let's get back to our articles. Underwater car trade-ins are at a 4-year high. What that means when buying a new vehicle. Interesting. Short story is if you trade in a car and you haven't paid it off yet, you'll be underwater because they'll transfer whatever's left on one car to the other. I mean, that's common sense. More consumers are using rent payments to boost their credit score report. So I won't talk much about this, but I will say, chat, if you are somebody who pays rent and you pay your rent on time, again, this is not sponsored, but I heard there's a credit card. I think it's called Bilt or something like that, BILT. But I don't know. I was reading articles on it and something like that, but I heard that some people use that if you're on time with your payments, that they use that and they make rent payments on there and then they just pay their rent payment to the credit card, which helps build their credit, helps give them a line of credit to use in case of emergencies for their apartment. And on top of that, they build up points, which is insane. I mean, that's a great deal. So research that on your own. 10 best NBA programs in the world, according to LinkedIn, are 7 in the U.S. We'll shout out to that. Stock making the biggest moves. Yeah, we keep seeing that. Gemini's on the list. Texas Instruments. Yo, Texas Instruments be winning. First of all, the calculators are $867. Tall niggas be the most unstable in fights that fall off the ground. That's a fact. That's a fact. That's a fact, Hotbox. It's hard. You gotta really have good balance. I mean, I have good balance, and still at the beginning of the fight, I was on my ass because I lift up my foot to kick the dude, and he lifted up his foot the same time, but he kind of put his hips into me. He didn't kick me. He missed the kick. He put his hips into me, and I'm standing on one foot, and that shit threw me off balance, and I just hit the ground. Anyway, convenience stores are eating fast food chains breakfast. What? Convenience stores are eating fast food chains breakfast. I don't get it. Eating their breakfast, meaning like, all right, there's a picture of Wawa, meaning like, all right, if you're a convenience store, you're taking money out of the pockets of these other fast food chains just because of the deals that they have, I guess. Hollywood Celeste, The Pit in the Studio, blah, blah, blah. Democrats dig in on healthcare as threat of government shutdown looms. Listen, chat, the government comes to, this quarter comes to a close September 30th. So pay attention to that because that'll affect markets and that'll affect how people are working. So we're looking for a continuing resolution or some type of continuation of operations for our government. City upgrades Union Pacific as railroad stock looks too compelling to ignore. Okay. Club, we're booking profits. Inside Panama Canal's mega project plan, blah, blah, blah. Caution, optimism led stocks back to all-time highs, but are bulls becoming irrationally exuberant? The stock market has been going crazy, so that's what they're talking about. If you bought your house before 2005, you could be sitting on a gold mine. Yeah. I watched a video this week in chat where they were talking about how boomers messed up the economy. And dude's like, how? And he was like, well, how much is your house worth? And how much did you pay for it? And he's talking about all the different scenarios in his family in which people purchase houses. He said, well, and he's a boomer, right? So he's like, my parents paid $4,000 for their house. And the dude's like, all right, how much is the house worth? The numbers are close. I could be slightly off, but the numbers are very close. And he's like, well, the house is worth $8 million now. Chat, you paid $4,000 for your house and now it's worth $8 million? Bro, what are we even talking about? China's economic slowdown deepens in August with retail sales, industrial output missing expectations. So shout out to all the articles. It wasn't a bunch of news, I would say, especially for things to watch out during the week. I would say the top one is him advocating to stop reporting earnings on a quarterly basis. This is something we need to pay attention to because our president, Donald J. Trump, has a lot of power. And one thing that you need to make sure you pay attention to is when Donald Trump say he gonna do something, whether you see it as bad or good, bro normally do it. He normally do it, chat. So listen, bro normally do it. You feel me? So you need to pay attention. You need to pay attention. And that's why I gave y'all that information about the economy last week, because pay attention to what's going on. Pay attention of where they're increasing prices. Pay attention to where all these districts are saying they're having trouble and where things are just going good. Because a change might come, chat. He's telling us right there. Listen to that man. Don't take it as a game. Don't think he playing in people's face. People are like, ha ha ha. Donald Trump says that he's gonna use the military to police DC. What? Who would do that? Next thing you know, you got full on military in regular ass neighborhoods, snatching liquor bottles out of people's hands, chasing people down the street, enforcing curfews, military chat with assault rifles, walking through the neighborhoods, standing on corners, bro. Like, I told y'all before, I'm not far from the nation's capital. I do not like going into the nation's capital if I don't have to, especially not now. They have so many checkpoints. Well, they're saying they're wrapping it up, whatever the case is, but they have checkpoints for everything. I'm not about to be the one out there trying to celebrate a coworker's birthday at happy hour. All I had was maybe a beer or something, and they saw me come out of a restaurant or something, and I get pulled. I ain't got time for none of that. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, chat, let's see what the time looking like. All right, so I got a couple minutes because I do have to make a phone call back. But before I do, the thing I want to touch on, because we touched on so many things, and if you want to catch up on all the good information I've been getting, because it all ties together. If you learn this information, it will help you. The thing I want to touch on really quick, chat, is this. The type of accounts, right? The type of accounts. Let me go full screen really quick. The type of accounts, chat. One of the things that you need to focus on, because somebody mentioned last week, because I said, I want to buy a stock live. So start saving your money. Open up an account, right? I'm not telling you what type of account to open. I gave ideas, but say, hey, start saving money for whatever stock you want to purchase, and let's purchase together, right? And somebody said, true. Everybody don't have money like you. First of all, you're making an assumption, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm here so I don't get fined, but we're doing it together. We're starting it off. So just assume I don't have no money, right? You don't know me, right? So we're going to do it together, but it takes time to build up money. The goal, if we can aim for like $200 or $300, that would be ideal because we can buy pretty much almost every stock on the market for the most part. But it is also, again, that is a lot of money. One thing people need to be mindful of, though, and if you're listening, chat, this is one thing that people don't realize. Doesn't matter what type of job you're working, whether you're in fast food, whether you work at Staples, you're a security guard, whatever the case is. Most times when people even work minimum wage jobs, because they're working minimum wage jobs, they're assuming that no benefits are available to them. Listen, I'm telling you right here, right now, clock it at 49 minutes and 45 seconds into this stream. If you work a job, you need to be checking to see if there is a retirement plan available to you. Because of my knowledge and because I did go to school for finance, that is one piece of thing about me, right? Whenever I worked a job, doesn't matter how small the job is, doesn't matter if it was part-time, I'm asking about 401ks. I'm asking about retirement plans. Why? Because a lot of times, if it is available at your employer, they may match. Matching is free money. Some companies, I've seen companies match dollar for dollar. I've seen companies match 50%. I've seen companies match up to 6%. That's the average. Most companies that offer matching offer up to 6%, meaning if you put in $100, they'll match up to $6. That's an example. But there are companies that match. You put in $1, we'll put 50 cents in for every dollar you decide to save in your retirement account. Some companies say for every dollar you put in, we'll also put in $1 to match you. So it just depends. So you have to check. But the important thing is check. You have to check, chat, because while it may be more difficult for some people to save up money, if these retirement accounts, 401ks, whatever, are available to you through your job, that is going to be a way for you to save so much faster. Especially, again, I'm not an accountant, I'm not a tax professional, but if you contribute to your retirement account pre-tax, before your paycheck is taxed, let me tell you, go run a calculator, chat. Go run a calculator of what that does to your paycheck. In most instances, your paycheck, which is the net amount that you get deposited into your account or the check gets written for, may not even change. Or maybe you put $25 into your retirement account and that changes your paycheck $1. And then on top of the $25, if you're in a company that matches you dollar for dollar, that means you have $50 in your account and your paycheck only changed $1, chat. That is huge. And I guarantee you there's at least one person that views this video, or maybe even in the chat, that's in the situation that is losing out on free money because they never checked. They didn't know till just now. So make sure you check that. So switching gears really quick, just to go over this information. Transition. Bow. There we go. The main type of investment accounts include brokerage accounts. So we had a little bit of conversation about that. That's like your Fidelities, your Robinhoods, your E-Trades, your Merrills, all those things where you basically just open up an account, and when you deposit money in, you're basically depositing money out of your checking account, out of your paycheck, but those are after tax accounts, right? So you still, depending on the account, can get capital gains tax. We won't get into that right now, but that's general brokerage accounts. They offer investment flexibility for various goals. And then you have specialized accounts for purposes like retirement. So 401ks, that's typically offered through employers, right? And a lot of times they let you do pre-tax or after-tax. If you're new to investing, again, this is for entertainment purposes, but doing pre-tax may help you to get started, because after-tax will basically change almost dollar for dollar your net paycheck. So if you're living paycheck to paycheck and you do after-tax contributions, just know if you contribute $100 after tax, that $100 is coming out of your net paycheck. If you do $100 pre-tax, that means, okay, I work 2-week period, I get paid $1,000. They're going to take $1,000, right? That's going to be my paycheck. That's going to be my gross paycheck. They're going to take $100 off that, deposit into your account. Then you're going to get taxed off the $900 versus the $1,000, right? Which ultimately your net paycheck could come out to be the same. So run those calculators. Then you have IRAs, right? So 401ks are typically going to be offered through your employer. IRAs, or individual retirement accounts, are going to be offered through banks, through brokerage services, but you're going to open these up yourself. So you can open up one with a credit union. You can open up one with a bank. There's different ways you can open up an IRA, right? But when you open it up, you have to check to see what they allow. Because some of these accounts, chat, don't even allow you to purchase just straight up stock. They may only allow you to do ETFs and mutual funds, which we mentioned before are like a basket of investments, which help you to diversify. Shout out to ICE in the building, right? You have educational accounts. We'll touch on that later, but that's the 529 plans, right? Or your HSAs, your health savings accounts. You know, this 529 is for like your children. Health savings account, that's for your health, right? So you can actually invest your money, and then when the time comes, you can also have a debit card attached to where you can still use the money for certain expenses, right? But 401ks are employer-sponsored retirement plans where contributions are made directly from your paycheck, often with employers matching. So I said that before. So that's something that you guys should really take into consideration. Hold up. What kind of links come up? Check your employer, chat. If we are trying to save up money to invest, listen, if you can't do it on your own, you're living paycheck to paycheck, that's okay. There still can be other options. Or, again, I asked the question a while ago, you can do partial, you can buy parts of a stock. So whatever you can save. When I first started investing, my major goal was like, all right, if I can save $5 every time I get paid. That may be a lot for some, and for others that may be like, all right, I could do $5. Just make a habit. That's all you need to do is make a habit. You make that habit, it's gonna go a long way. Shout out to PR in the building. Right? Shout out to Vaughn in the building. Y'all know the vibes. Right? And then you have individual retirement accounts. This can be traditional, tax deductible contributions, right? Traditional meaning you're putting money into the account and then you're not going to get taxed until a later date, typically when you reach retirement, because this is a retirement account. There are penalties associated if you withdraw early. So make sure you do your research. We're not getting into all that at the moment. And then you have taxes paid on withdrawals on retirement, right? They tell you right there. Or Roth, right? Contributions are made after tax. So you take your money from your paycheck and you say, I'm going to put it directly into this account and I'm going to invest using the money that I'm able to save. That is what I'm doing, chat. To not gatekeep, this is what I'm doing for the account that I want to buy a stock live with you guys. I am, let me correct myself. Chat. I do have one of these, but the one I'm using is going to be a brokerage account, but it is after tax contributions. Withdrawals are tax-free in retirement. And then you have options like SEP IRAs and solo 401ks. So if you're a business owner, right? Some of you out there may be really successful and you're a business owner. Yo, shout out to y'all, first of all, for running a business. But these are some of the account types. And if you're just, let's call it an employee, I want you to really check your employer benefits. It's a lot of stuff in there you could take advantage of, not just investing. They may have options on there for you to save money on your phone bill, on your cable bill if you have cable, and other things as well. Take advantage of all these things because part of investing is being able to save money in other areas as well. Time check. You feel me, chat? You feel me? So I'm not trying to rush you guys, but I just want to give you some of those information. So what are the different type of investing accounts? That's the question you need to ask. And what type of account is good for the purposes in which you need? Some of you out there, you're not going to have access to a 401k or retirement account. And it may be easy for you to just be like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and try Robinhood out until I get the hang of it. That's fine. I'm not sponsored, but that's fine. Just make sure you understand how the account works. Understand the withdrawal rules. Understand the contribution limits. Because some of you out there may be making $500,000 a year, right? And some of these accounts, these IRAs, they're not going to allow you to deposit that much, right? Because some of these IRA limits are like what? $6,000, $7,000 a year. Remember, Investopedia is your friend. You see, this tells you exactly how does an IRA work? How does a brokerage account work, right? You see this? 2425. So I'm looking for contribution limits. The maximum annual individual contribution is $7,000. The catch-up contribution continues to be $1,000 for those over 50. Use Investopedia.com. Use your other resources, chat. Make sure you look this information up. Shout out to all y'all vibing in the building, right? So shout out to y'all. But I do got to go ahead and get my day started. Oops, sorry. I do have to get my day started. I got to make a phone call. I got to do some other things. But we're going to vibe today. You know what I'm saying? It's been a W. It's still September. So still push it. Casanat still going strong. I haven't tapped into anybody's stream this whole weekend. As y'all see, flex it again. I was getting busy. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? Shout out to that chat. Applaud this man. I might have a broken toe. I don't know. But shout out to y'all. Oh, shit. I ain't even go. Yeah. There we go. Shout out to y'all, man. Shout out to y'all, chat. Appreciate all y'all well wishes. But before we go, definitely indulge me so we can raid out, you know. And if those of you are new to the chat and you're just quiet and wondering what these awards are for, so I do martial arts and I was in a martial arts tournament this past weekend, and that be the gold medal for said tournament and the first place trophy. I did first place in forms and for sparring. And if you're wondering, how does that look? Well, yeah, I did get punched in the face. Right? I did get, and I mean, there was, I ain't gonna lie, there was a couple of illegal hits because I got punched in the eye. That's an illegal hit, right? I said, bro, out here trying to box a little bit. I know how to box, but we're not here to box. We're here to do martial arts, kick and punch each other. And I am this current tournament's victor. So shout out to that. But let's raid our chat. Appreciate y'all always coming through, showing me support. And I'm going to tune back in. And I'm going to try to give y'all some footage. But I'm going to tune back in. But let's raid out. Let's go. Shout out to all the support for sure. And the Raid Train family in the Discord as well. All right, let's see. Let's see who we got running. Let's see who we got running. Let's see who we got going. Who we got going, chat? Who we got going, chat? Ooh. Listen, we gotta go show this guy some love. I feel like it's the first time I was raiding and I seen him live. But we gotta go show Besco some love. We gotta go show Besco some love. He's always in everyone's chat. We gotta go give him some love, chat. We gotta go give Besco some love. I have no idea what he's doing over there, but let's go raid him. Let's go raid him. When that beat drop, he look like he doing something he don't normally do. I see him scrolling. I normally see him blicking people up. Shout out to Lippy. Shout out to Besco. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.